Holly truly believes that people want to feel better, healthier, and less stressed. Right? That's great. She believes in keeping it simple, being consistent, and being kind to yourself in the processes of living out our tiny imperfections. Holly is an author and columnist, speaker, Spring Forest Qigong leader, personal trainer, and creator of the Tiny Imperfections Bear. I think I've heard you tell about that a little bit, but I'll bet there's a really fun story behind that. Holly is a regular speaker here, and we really thank you for that, blessing us each time that you come. I think we're all in for a treat, and Holly is going to be talking with us today about rebirth. So take it away. We're so grateful you're here.
Oh my, thank you so much for being here today. I went for a walk and it's so gorgeous out. I thought, I'll be here by myself today. There's not going to be anybody that's going to come. So on the walk, I'm just walking around here, and I lived in this area for a long time, and I'm meeting all the dogs, and I realized once again, just like when I had my cat, I will have the nicest conversations with the dogs, and then at the end, I'll go, oh, have a good day, to the person. I'm like totally about the dog. I'm just not even about the person at all. So, Don, you kind of stole my thunder here a little bit. I was going to have us do a little relaxation, but since we're already there, I just want to thank Gary for asking me to be here today, because it was very interesting how this worked. This is a very personal day for me, a very personal talk that I'll be giving, and I kind of opened my arms up one day and I said, you know, God, for all the things that have been going on in my life the last almost 2 years, if you want me to talk about this, give me an opportunity. And a few days later, I get an email from Gary. You know, would you like to come and talk? And I always say, I'm going to sleep on it, you know, because I want to make sure that I can deliver. And I said, so what's the topic? And he said, rebirth. And I already knew I was going to say yes, but I slept on it anyway. Because that's pretty much what my life has been about in the last 1.5 to 2 years, my own rebirth. So I am not here today. We could all be sitting down on the floor in a circle and, you know, talking for what I'm going to be talking about. Actually, that'd be more comfortable for me. I'm not here to teach anybody anything, or to preach, or to sway anybody, or to make anybody believe like I believe, or any of that. I'm here to share my story. I was just telling Don before, I don't think I've ever gone to a class or anything in all the trainings I've taken where I've learned more than I have in just listening to other people's stories. Because I want to know how you did it. I want to know, like, it's not just information. I want to know how you did it. And so I don't know that you'll get something out of this today, but this is my personal story. So what I would like to have you do, just for a moment, if it feels right for you, is to just close your eyes and put your feet flat on the floor and just sit with a nice straight back. And with those eyes closed, and just to kind of take this in, take all that I say and toss away without a thought. All that does not strike within you a recognition. For you do not learn love and wisdom. You only encounter catalysts to remember it. For it is all within yourself. Yeah. All right. So, rebirth. Look outside, right? Oh my gosh, everything is waking up. And it's all coming to life again. And all the people that I met on the street today, and the little conversations that I did have, without the conversation with the dog, everybody was like, isn't this the perfect day? I heard that like multiple times. Isn't this just the perfect day? And it was so good to see everybody smiling and happy and out and enjoying it, and noticing the buds out on the trees and everything being so green, being grateful for all the rain that we got, you know, so that we could green up and things can bud out. And I thought, this is the perfect day. It is the perfect day. And everything that's happened in my life over the last couple years to get me to this day was perfect too, even though it certainly didn't feel that way. So I looked up rebirth in the dictionary, and it says the action of reappearing or starting to flourish after a decline. Yeah, that's been my life. That's been my life. Yeah. So I'm going to do this in phases that happened to me. First phase, I have been sober for almost 39 years. And thank you. And I got up one morning and I just said, I am done. And I quit. I come from a small town, wasn't a lot around me or anything, and I just quit. And wasn't easy or anything, but I did. And so about a year and a half or so ago, I had a friend who goes to AA, and she always thinks my story is so interesting. You just quit. She goes, have you ever gone to an AA meeting? And I go, no. And she goes, well, I go. You want to go one day? And I'm like, I've always been intrigued, like what goes on in an AA meeting. So I went. And even though I haven't, drank 39 years, whatever, and I learned a lot about myself that day. But what was so cool about it was that it was the first time in that many years that I got to tell my story in a group of people who went. And it's amazing how a head nod can be so healing. And for the first time, I felt really good about what I had accomplished. Because I never did. All I looked at was what I had done and da-da-da-da. I never took it on as like, hey, I did that. So I get done with that meeting, and I'm talking to my friend about it, and I said, wow, that was something. And she goes, I don't know why I'm getting this, but she said, there's a meeting before this meeting. And she goes, it's an ACA meeting. And she said, for some reason, I just think that would resonate with you. So now I'm like wide open game for anything, because I had this good experience. And I'm like, okay, I don't even know what it is. And then I asked her, I said, what does that even stand for? And she goes, well, adult children of alcoholic and dysfunctional families. So I'm like, okay, next week, I show up at that one. And within the first 5 minutes, I thought, where have you been all my life? And it seemed like because of all the work that I had done prior to going, it was clicking. I mean, if people would have been able to see the light bulbs going off in my head, I would have looked like fireworks. It was just like, that made sense, that made sense. Oh my gosh, yes, yes, yes. And again, the head nods, the acknowledgement, the chance to tell your story. That's why I think stories are so important. You get the chance to tell your story. And suddenly, things in my life were starting to make sense. And I always think that I have to ask my mom if I was born breech, because I do everything backwards. I don't think I was, but it feels like I'm like 39 years go by, and yeah, I think I'll hit an AA meeting. Isn't that kind of backwards? But it's like, but it worked. It worked for me. It's just the way God made me. So through these meetings, I did the 12-step program. And I've never done a 12-step anything. And I stuck to that, and as hard as it was, and as like they always say, we heal it like an onion, right? It's layers and layers. Whew, this one felt pretty darn deep. And we were getting in there now. And I was uncomfortable, and there were so many times I did not like it, but I am so glad I did it. The relationships in my life changed. Some got deeply, deeply better. Some went away. And it was okay. I loved that I had new tools in my tool belt. I loved that I had met more people. I loved hearing their stories. I was doing more healing from hearing their stories than I was anything. So that started kind of a snowball effect in my life. I mean, healing things like with my own parents, we're close, my sisters and my immediate family, and then understanding how I passed along a lot of the things to my own children? Because you might see this beautiful array of lumber in front of you to build this house that you think you're going to build, but all I had was a spoon. Because that's what was handed to me, was a spoon. I knew the house I wanted to build. I knew the family I wanted to build. I knew what I wanted to do, but I had a spoon. And so I think that each time that I go and I do these different things, I get different tools, and I can start building that house that I really want to have. And so I did a lot of, making a lot of amends that was missing before. And I got to do all of that. Super, uber grateful. You know, isn't it funny how when people say, hey, maybe you just want to, she wasn't saying you should go or whatever like that. I just showed up. So that was my first phase. So, second phase, months, almost a year later maybe, I was going through all of my books. And I don't know how you are with books, but I am an avid reader. I love books. I have so many books. I have spent so much money on books. And I always think, okay, I'm going to get this little piece of information and this and this and this. My books are so written full, I can't borrow them out to anybody. People say, can I borrow that? It's like, no, absolutely not. And when I'm dead and gone, please just burn them and nobody look at them. Because there's so much stuff written in there about me that is like, please. So I'm going to grab one of my daughter-in-laws one day and go, okay, I know my boys are going to try to read these, but just please, just take them and burn them. But maybe they should read them, because then they'll learn more about me too. So I'm looking through all of my books, bookshelves and all in my closet and all over here and there, and I thought, you know what? Okay, if you're always talking about simplicity, Holly, then let's live it this year. Pick out one, just one, and read that for the whole year. And see what you can really absorb from just one book. It terrified me. Well, I thought, where is this thought even coming from? Because that terrified me. I'm only going to be able to read one book, but I'm one of those where when I say that, like for myself, then I'll stick to it. I just kind of do that, make that deal. So I'm going through all of my books, and I get this little thing in my head, why not read the greatest love story ever written? And I grabbed my 3rd grade Bible that I got from 3rd grade. It wasn't even on my shelves. I had to look for it because I didn't have it out. And I started reading that last November, and I read every day. And you know what's funny about being here today? My granddaughter, she's my youngest grandchild, is receiving her Bible today in her church. She's getting the greatest love story ever written today. And I hope that someday she will read it. I've been Sunday school teacher. I went to Sunday school. I've done all these things. I've read in it little bits and pieces. I've never read it cover to cover. And I was blown away. You know what's really funny, though, is people know I'm an avid reader. So friends will go, hey, what book are you reading now? And I'm like, well, I decided I'm just going to read one this year. Really? Oh, what is it? The Bible. And there's always like a pause. And you know, nobody goes, well, what's that about? You don't get the questions that you do with a lot of other books that you read. So that's been interesting for me. I find myself very, I don't want to say strangely because that's not the word, comforted. And I think I feel safer than I have in a long time. I don't know what's happening. I don't need to know, but it's changing me. Just standing here in front of you today and even talking about it, I know that it's changing me. And like I said, I'm not here to sway, I'm not here to anything. This is my personal story. That was phase 2. Okay, phase 3. Chris, do you remember what Christmas was like this past year? Christmas Eve? We had the thunderstorm. It was raining so hard, like so hard. And I I was living down in this area, and I go to Christmas Eve to my sister's, which is an hour away from here. And that morning I thought, I think on the way out to my sister's, I'm just going to pick out a church, and I'm going to go to their service before I go to my sister's. Okay? I love the smells of Christmas. I love the music. I love the candles. I love it all. And I thought, I'm just going to sit in that, and I'm just going to absorb all of that, and then I'll go to my sister's and, we'll celebrate. So it was kind of strange that I ended up at one of my family members' churches. But none of them were going to be there. Nobody that I knew was going to be there. And that's where I ended up. So I'm sitting out in the parking lot, and it's just downpouring. It's coming down so hard. And I thought, I'll just sit here until I get a break in the rain. And now, I'm a person who, anybody who knows me, I will not carry a purse. I just don't. I don't know why. I don't know. I mean, I used to love my fringy purse when I was a kid, and all that. I just don't carry a purse. I think because I'll probably leave it somewhere, and how your purse has like your whole life in it. So I'm one of those. I will leave it. Anytime I go somewhere, people are always running out the door going, Holly, you left this. I'm always leaving something at someone's house. So the purse would be a big deal. So I'm sitting in my car, and I'm sitting in the parking lot, and I'm going through my little pouch thing that I carry, and I'm grabbing some money, and I'm grabbing some cough drops and, things that I might need, and stick them in my pocket, and as I'm going through my stuff, and I catch a break in the rain, and so I whip into the church, and I'm running through puddle. I mean, it's like there's water in the parking lot. And I get in, and I sit in the very back row. Nobody's around me. I sit in the very back row on the very end. And I'm just taking it all in. And it's like, oh, this is awesome. I'm so glad I did this tonight. So all of a sudden, about 10 minutes later, there's this gentleman standing at the end of my bench. And he goes, I'm sorry, is this yours? And in his hand, he has my entire life. I take like my credit cards and my driver's license and my everything, and I wrap it in a rubber band, and I stick it in this pouch. And when I was pulling the stuff out of this pouch, it must have landed on my lap. I stick the pouch away, and I'm looking for that break in the rain, and I just run in. And when I got out, it must have fallen off my lap onto the ground. And I'm like, my heart almost stopped. And here he is standing there, and I'm like, yes, that's mine. And he goes, well, we were parked in the car next to yours. We saw you get out, and when my wife got out of the car, she saw this okay, it's in water next to my car. It's like 4 o'clock. You know how winter is. It's starting to get kind of whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a Christmas miracle. So I'm just like, thank you, God. This is amazing. So I'm thinking, this is my miracle, I'm smiling. I'm so grateful. I tell him profusely, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And he's like, oh, no problem. How did he even find, this is a big church. How did he even find me in there? And how kind that was to do that for me, So do you think I'm a little more careful now when I get out of the car? But I remembered back to a time when I found someone's phone and wallet under like the tire of their car in Kohl's parking lot. And I turned it in. And so it's like, not interesting. And now somebody finds mine and gives it back to me. So I think that's my miracle. So I'm just like, I'm so grateful. I'm smiling. I'm like, I love life. Gosh, this is good. This is good. And I have a story to take back to my family right after, when we get done. So the pastor gets up, and they're the type of church where they have the screens, and everything's up on the screen and different things too. And so all of a sudden he asks a question, and he goes, so what's everybody getting for Christmas this year? I just want you to think about that. Like, what are you giving for Christmas? What are you getting for Christmas? And, everybody's sitting there, and we're all pondering, what we are. And then he poses the question, what do you think Jesus wants from you for Christmas this year? I thought, well, that was an interesting question. And he puts up on the screen this big red heart. And he goes, your heart. He just wants your heart. I get goosebumps when I think about it now. So I thought I had done that many times. And what I realized I had done in my life was I loved on him, but I didn't let him love on me. Which goes back to what I started talking to about in the first place with the little wounded Holly. It's so much easier for me to love on people and to be in control of it than to let them love me. And so in my mind, I went, okay, I'll do that. Okay, Jesus, I'll give you my heart. And I just said it very, loftily, whatever. And so they're going to start doing the Silent Night song. And they get the candles out, with the little paper plates or whatever it is around them. And we're supposed to light our candles from each other's. Well, I'm sitting way in the back, so I have to go 3-4 benches forward, to get the candle lit. And I go back and I sit down, and the lights go down, and there's no one around me. And beside me, I hear, welcome back. And I started sobbing. I didn't cry. I don't use the word sob very often in my life. I couldn't hold it together. Then they start singing Silent Night. Well, you know what that, So it's like, oh, gosh. I have never been more uncomfortable in my entire life because my back was shaking. And I thought at one point it was going to, where you do that that type of thing. And I thought, oh, most people are going to think I'm having a stroke. So, because I'm moving back and forth, I'm crying uncontrollably. And all I wanted to do was bolt. My tears were so big, I swear, my face was soaking, the front of my shirt was wet. I was just like, what is happening here? And so the reason I didn't bolt, I would have, if I could have. I have a candle in my hand. And we were told, and I'm a rule follower when it comes to certain things, especially with fire. My mom used to tell us that if we lit matches, we would wet the bed. I believed that. So we never lit matches at our house because we were afraid she would know because we would have a wet bed in the morning. So, I had this fear of fire since I was a little girl. So we were told before the Silent Night started that when after the song is over and you blow out your candle, we want you to sit there for a couple minutes because we want that wax to cool. We don't want you throwing it in a tote and then starting a fire in the church. And I thought, I'll be that one. I'll be that one because I'm not going to leave with the candle because that's stealing. But if I blow it out and it's still hot, I'm going to start the whole place on fire. So I have no choice than to sit here and deal with this. So that's what I did. I just sat and I sobbed. And then when everybody was getting up and leaving, I really didn't have a whole lot of dry places anymore. And you know what I didn't bring out of my little pouch? A tissue. Because why would I need a tissue? So I got back out into my car, and I thought, I don't know if I like that. But yet it was the best thing that ever happened to me. It was almost like the jaws of life had opened up my chest, and I was letting something love me for a change. I'm a fixer, I'm a helper, I'm all those things because I'm in control of all of it. But when someone wants to help me, when I moved this last time, I had 5 pieces of furniture left by the time everybody came because I was going to do it myself. And guess what I did? I pinched a nerve in my back. I couldn't walk for 9 days. I had to walk like this, sideways. And my sister goes, do you think maybe you should let somebody help you once in a while? And I'm like, do you think? that might have been helpful, yes. But it's so in me because of that little Holly always being afraid that if you show love, you just might get hurt. So I'm working on this relationship. I'm working on it. I didn't realize that the relationship, when I went into all these different things, when I've taken all the studies that I have over the years and things, was really to work on my relationship with the one that I had kind of let go of. Didn't let go of my hand. I let go. Because I thought I can do this. I can do this, I can do it, and I maybe, because guess what? Sometimes when I ask for things, I don't get it. And that makes me mad. And sometimes you're a little bit too slow about bringing me the things. And then I get into trouble because, see, if you would have just done that, then I wouldn't have got, I always had a reason. And I always had an excuse. My sister, for Christmas, gave me, to top it all off, that night, a picture of this figure of Jesus coming out of the woods. I don't know if anybody's seen it. It's like a little bit blurred. And toward the front of the picture, there's this little lamb, all dirty and muddy and lost. And here comes this figure just running to rescue it. And I thought, oh, that's me. That's me. Every day. And every day I get up and I think, I got this. And every day, I don't. And every day I make plans. And every day they go sideways. Every day. So I finally thought, what if I just get up and I just go, here I am. I'm just going to show up. I know there's a plan for me. I don't even have to know what that is, but I know there's a plan for me. I was created because there's a plan for me. I want to do that plan. I want to live out that purpose, but I don't know what that is. So then just show me, because I am that lost little lamb. And what does a lamb do? It goes and stays close to the shepherd. Lambs are very different than other animals. They want someone to guide them and to lead them and to protect them and to take care of them. I want that too. I just never would let myself have it because I thought I had to do it. So how do we have close relationships? I always have to bring it into something in my own life that's right here that I can see, that's tangible. What do you do when you want to get to know somebody better? You spend time. You ask questions. Sometimes you talk. Sometimes you listen. But that's how you build a relationship. I think the relationship that I was having was I was doing a lot of talking, a lot of asking, a lot of demanding, a lot of better make my plans happen, but I wasn't doing any listening, and I certainly wasn't doing any following because I was going to be my own leader. And boy, I could tell you stories. We could be here for 10 days and tell you stories about how that did not work out. And then wonder why my life was a mess. But I thought I had it all together, And I think for people who are in positions, I've talked about this before, where you're put in a position of, or you put yourself in a position of helping others and doing this, they think you have the answers. I don't have the answers for anybody's life. I don't. I can share my stories and things, but I don't even have the answers for mine, but I know that there is something that does. And to me, I don't like responsibility very much. I push myself into those things, like I should be responsible, I should whatever. I don't really like it a whole lot. So for me, I'm getting kind of comfortable with showing up, and just going, okay. And then at the end of the day going, there were no mistakes today. That was supposed to happen. Even if it doesn't look like what I wanted it to look like, maybe that was supposed to happen. I got an opportunity out in St. Cloud one day. It's going to be a really good opportunity for me. Really good opportunity. And I'm like, thank you, God, for this opportunity. And I'm driving there, and I'm all excited and whatever. And I get to the first stoplight in St. Cloud, and my car died. Completely. Engine went out. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't even know what to do because I've never been in that situation. Right away to my sister. If you've ever heard me speak before, I call my sister a lot. And I call her, and I'm like, I don't even know what to do. And she goes, okay, just call 911, tell them it's a non-emergency, and tell them what happened to you. So I call. They hooked me up. They were beautiful. They hooked me up with a tow truck. Tow truck is going to come. As the tow truck is coming, I'm like, where am I going to get towed to? Where am I going to go? You know, I'm praying. That'll make you pray really hard, right? When you get in an emergency like that, you pray pretty hard. So I do this, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, I have no place to go. My son, thank goodness, my youngest son lives in Sartell. So I'm like, okay, we could have it towed there. 6 miles. It was within my insurance radius, you know, and everything. So it's like, yes, okay, we got this. Call my brother-in-law. He happens to be retired now, which is wonderful. He goes, I'll get a trailer. I'll be up there. We'll trailer it back, and we'll take it to the mechanic you normally go to. Okay? Within 2 hours, I am back at the mechanic. And he goes, you know, Holly, do you want to put the money into it? Do you not want to, or whatever? He goes, if you don't want to, I'll take care of it for you. I'll get rid of it for you. And I'm like, my brother-in-law goes, you know what? We have an extra car. Why don't you just buy the car from us? And it could not have gone better. So in my mind, I'm thinking, you know what, God, really? You bring me this opportunity, and now I'm sitting here at the stoplight. I had to call them and say, not going to be there. And yet all these miracles are happening all around me to take care of me. Because in my mind, sometimes I get it that if I'm doing it right, if I'm on the right path, then it should be easy. And everything should go my way, and there shouldn't be any of these hiccups. Didn't work that way. I didn't get that opportunity. But, my gosh, how many people can say that that's how that situation would have gone for them? And you know what else I thought of? The people who don't have those people in their life, who don't have anybody to call. What would I have done if I hadn't had anybody to call? You want to see sobbing? That would have been sobbing. I would have been a puddle going, I don't know, tow truck driver, show me what to do, because I would have had no clue. But it showed me how much people came and helped me. All the times that I thought that maybe they wouldn't be there for me, family, friends, whatever, that situation right there, it was like boom, boom, boom. And within a couple days, I'm driving a different car. A car that happened to be taken care of by the mechanic that I go to. Already knows the car. I'm not buying a lemon of a car, you know, everything. Titles transferred, everything's done. Tabs went down, insurance went down. Right? Score. It was a gift. But boy, I certainly did not see it that way when I was sitting at that stoplight. Semis coming up behind me, you know, just so fast because I'm at the very first stoplight. They're just coming off the highway, and I'm like, well, this could be it. And then in my mind, I was like, because at that point, I couldn't take one more thing. You ever get to that point where it's like, not one more thing. I'm done. I've had it. I'm going to break. But that's usually when I am completely broken, that everything comes back around. Because what do they say? What is that saying about like when you're broken, that's when the light can come in? Yeah, well, I was definitely broken. So a little thing that I say every day is, I just started this not too long ago. Lord, let me take the influence of Jesus wherever I go. And if the influence of Jesus isn't wanted there, please don't let me go there, because I don't want to take you anywhere you don't want to be. So I'm going to try and get this story out really quickly because I'm not sure how much time I have left. But I did recently get an opportunity that would have helped me out immensely. Not just financially, but just it would have helped me out immensely. And I went to this meeting, and sometimes God works in some really different kinds of ways. This has nothing to do with anything really that I do on this level. I don't even know why this came up. At the meeting, I was asked a couple questions, and all of a sudden, with a head down, not even looking at me, a statement was made. Yeah, we don't want that Jesus stuff here, because we just don't want that here. And in my head, I'm thinking, did I hear that? Because they weren't looking at me. Did I just hear that? But everything else about this was so good. So good. I walked out of there and I called a friend and I said, I don't know what just happened. And I thought, that was the strangest thing to have said, because it took my morning prayer and flipped it on its head. But I went back, because this was a great opportunity. This could help me out immensely. And I went back. And I went back 2 days. And I couldn't do it. I said, this isn't for me. Because the whole time I kept thinking, you heard it, Holly. You heard it. But I was trying to rationalize it in my brain. But it's really good for me, and it's a gift, and it's this and that. But I heard it. But I wanted to make it happen and make it right. And I knew that it wasn't. And I gave it up. And you would think my life got really good after that, right? Because I did the right thing. Things just didn't fall into place. But every day I still get up and I still do that. And I just show up. And trust is the hardest thing, isn't it? It's hard enough to trust something that I can actually see in front of me, and then to think that I'm going to trust something that I can't. But every day I feel like I'm opening up more and more to that, to the trust, and it is affecting my life in a really good way. Because even when things like that happen and do go sideways, I just know there's a plan for me. There's a purpose, and I've been on this path for so long of like, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? What should I do? What's my purpose? Freaking out about, I gotta make sure I'm doing my purpose. I don't know. But I know about love. I know about kindness. And I know about gentleness. And I know what feels right for me and what doesn't. And that day, in that meeting, that did not feel right. And I tried, like I always do, to talk myself into it, making it right, and it was not right. And for that, I was grateful that I recognized it. Even though I went back, I recognized it. So, if you want to just sit back again and close your eyes. And on this whole topic of rebirth, just think about something in your own life that maybe had been on the decline for a little while. And maybe there's some kind of a little budding going on inside of you. And I don't know if it feels right for you. Do you trust that? Do you trust that budding? Do you trust where that's going? Can you surrender it? Can you let it happen the way that nature is happening right now? We're not doing anything to make that happen. It's happening the way that it's meant to. Can you see those things in your own life just happening, and you just show up? And just take a nice deep breath. Good. Thank you so much for having me today and for listening to my phases of my rebirth. It's been quite a ride, and I'm really super grateful. And Gary, thanks for the opportunity for asking me. This was a really personal one for me, and I'm really grateful to be able to stand in front of you and share that. So thank you so much. God bless.
Holly, may I ask you a follow-up question?
Yeah, sure.
You know, I know in the 12 steps, I believe somewhere in that first step is the end of the sentence is I having had like a spiritual experience or something, I turned my will and my way. Oh, I get emotional thinking about that.
Same.
You know, it's easy when we get into those challenging spots, you know, how whatever version of the divine a person experiences, it's easy to say, how could there be a God, you know, versus turning to that God or the great divine or the great mystery, whatever that would be. How did you find it to move towards rather than away?
I think at this point in my life, I was on my knees. I didn't have a choice. I was seriously broken to the core, and thinking that was such a horrible place to be. I've never felt more vulnerable, I do this. This is what I do. Shouldn't I know better? Shouldn't I have been able to grab a hold? I was like, seriously, one more thing couldn't have been taken. And then it would. And it got me to that point. And I just kept doing it. I just kept, okay, all right, okay, I'm turning it over. I'm turning it over. And sometimes you have to hit that bottom to come back to the top.
Yeah, that's really something, surrender. And
Yeah.
what were the benefits of doing that?
I think now when I hear other people's stories, I'm not thinking about my reply. I'm actually listening. I think that my relationships with my family are more authentic than they've ever been. It's not surface anymore. It's like, you have problems, I have problems. I can look even at my parents and go, wow, you had so much on your plate. You know, I could take it back generationally, and the forgiveness and everything. It's just been a beautiful, beautiful gift.
Oh, well, thank you so much for that beautiful story. May I ask one other question?
Sure.
The tiny imperfections bear. Could you, maybe that somehow ties into this beautiful, poignant storytelling.
Yeah. Okay, so I was working with a client one day, and a lot of my clients would say, I wish I felt like this when I wasn't here, you know, because you're just creating this sacred space. And I designed this little bear, and I thought, well, this is something people can take with them. And a poem came to me really quickly one day about our tiny imperfections. And it's Tiny Imperfections is the name they've given me because I have some little flaws for all the world to see. A stitch or two that may be loose or one that's out of place, a crooked nose or maybe eyes that don't quite match my face. Tiny imperfections for all the world to see. Maybe they're not flaws at all, just things that make me me. And it came to me so fast that I had to stop with the client and write it down because it all came at one time. And I don't think that poem came for anybody else, probably but me. And I just happened to be able to share it because I always thought that I was super flawed, I was super this and that. No. Things I've gone through that have gotten me to where I am, and next year I'll be someplace else and someplace else. It's a journey. It's not a one and done. When I started the 12th step, I wanted it one and done. I wanted to be done. I'm going to get through this 12th step, and then my life's going to be great, and I'm going to be done. No, that's when I pretty much hit the fan. And that's okay, because I had tools in my tool belt.
That's so inspiring. That was just fantastic.
Thank you.
There's so much for all of us to pull from that and to bring into our lives. So thank you so very much. Okay, it is time for our offering here today, time to give your donation. We are a volunteer organization with no outside funding, and so we rely on the events that we do here and your kind donations here this morning to allow us to do all the things that we do to help people along on their journeys. You can also give online at lakeharrietspiritualcommunity.org. There's a spot there. And in the basket is a Venmo QR code if you'd like to give that way. So we thank you for your giving.
It's been a long, dark night, and I've been waiting for the morning. It's been a long, hard fight, but I can see a brand new day dawning, and I've been looking for the sunshine, 'cause I ain't seen it in so long. Everything's gonna work out just fine. Everything's gonna be alright. It's been all wrong, 'cause I can see the light of a clear blue morning. I can see the light of a brand new day. I can see the light of a clear blue morning. Everything's gonna be alright. It's gonna be okay. It's been a long, long time since I've known the taste of freedom.
John, if you'd like to come forward, please.
And those clinging
Oh, thank you, everyone. Thank you.
that had me bound.
You know, we at Lake Harriet believe that each of you is that beautiful spiritual being. You're valued, you're special. You have gifts to offer. We're so grateful that you're here today. And to bless our offering, if you could please raise your hands and repeat after me. God's perfect love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. Aho. And now is the special time where Holly gets to, if we could please form a circle, maybe 4 rows back. Michael, if you want to assist with getting people lined up there. And Holly is going to take us off to the week. We're grateful you're here. We hope to see you sometime again this week, and if not that, perhaps next Sunday. So thank you, everyone, and may your day be blessed.
That's okay. Warm heart. Okay, we're good. All right. May love heal our world. May we all choose kindness and compassion. May those who are sick heal. May those who are in pain be relieved. May those who are anxious find peace. May the individual and collective fear be washed away. And may the light inside of me and you radiate out into the world and to everyone and everything that is a part of it. And so it is.